League as Arsenal takes on Newcastle tomorrow. This is your Arsenal versus Newcastle match preview. Welcome back to about Arsenal, and today we're going to have some time to talk about tomorrow's game. With Man City getting that victory against Burnley, they are currently level on points with Arsenal. They also have the same amount of goals different with Arsenal, but I think they have 3 more goals than Arsenal, and that's why they're on top. Which essentially means that after 200 days, Arsenal is out of the summit of the Premier League. And the timing couldn't be any much worse. Man City is a club that we know usually pick good form at spring in the tail end of the campaign. And for 2 campaigns in a row, 22-23 and 23-24, Arsenal were in good position at top of the Premier League. But when Man City took over from them, it was basically curtains. When I think of 22-23, I think about how Arsenal played some amazing football. Like, our football was totally good. We had Aaron Ramsdale in goal. Alexander Zinchenko was a new signing as the left back. Saliba and Gabriel as the centre backs. Ben White was shifted to right back. Ben White came in the previous campaign for £50 million as a support to Gabriel. Obviously, he moved to the right back when Saliba was finally of age after his low spells in France. We had Thomas Partey in defensive midfield. We had Granit Xhaka in his final campaign with us, in central midfield. And Odegaard, who made his deal permanent, a campaign before, was in attacking midfield. Saka was on the right, Martinelli on the left, and of course, our new signing, Gabriel Jesus, was in the middle. Arsenal played some exciting football in that season. But when we got to April, that's when the wheels fell off. We started with a 2-2 draw against Liverpool. I can remember that game. We actually scored 2 goals first from Jesus and Martinelli before Salah. I know Firmino scored the equalizer though. I can't remember who scored the first goal from Liverpool. Okay, that was a 2-2 draw at Anfield. We almost lost the game because Aaron Ramsey had to make a very lovely save from Salah to keep us in that contest. Then we played West Ham. We were leading West Ham 2-1, and we had a penalty when Declan Rice, of all people, handled Thomas Partey's ball in the box. Saka had the chance to make it 3-1, and of course he missed. West Ham went to the other end and scored, and that was 2-2, and that game ended as a draw. 4 points dropped. Then the game that no one expected us to drop points was Southampton. Southampton were like the whooping boys in that campaign. But for some strange reason, they had a 3-3 draw with Arsenal at the Emirates. That was just pathetic, man. On a couple of chats. So Idogu Kola says this title is for Arsenal, 100% sure. Man, I'm really hopeful that we do it, bro. I'm really hopeful that we do it. And we have Mr. Luke in the building. What's happening, brother?
Hey, Nicky, how are
I'm cool, man. I was just talking about the 22-23 campaign, where we drew those terrible games against West Ham, Liverpool, and Southampton before losing 4-1 to Man City. And that's where the whole campaign fell off, Then we tried again. Then again, that campaign, I think we're not even supposed to be title contenders. Because you remember, we just came from the trenches with 8th and 5th. So it was like a surprise to everyone. But the next campaign was 23-24, where we got Declan Rice, we got Timber, and we got Kai Havertz. When we had those signings, did you think we were going to challenge for the title again, based on what happened last season? Or did it just feel like a blip to you?
No, I knew that the team was going to challenge again for the title. And the team was already there. So the new signings were sort of going to make us stronger. And that team should have won the league. But it's crazy how the team has gone. But we need some perspective, Hopefully, we can get some of that on this show.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. So 2024, we actually did very well. Actually, when we went, I know in December we had that terrible run where we lost to West Ham and Fulham. I know the West Ham game we had like 30 shots, but for some reason we didn't score. But when our guys went to Dubai and came back, we looked like a totally different squad. That winning run that we had prior to the Aston Villa game, were you expecting us to play that well?
It was I mean they started playing well the moment. So prior to the January, even those games they had those blips. They played very well, but they couldn't score. So when your team is playing well, you always feel that they can be unlocked. Okay. The problem is when the team is not playing well. That's usually the problem. But I think that season, 23-24, I think we what cost us the title really was the Aston Villa match. It came
Yeah,
in the middle of
at
it came
home.
in the middle of the Bayern matches, and the manager prioritized the Champions League. Not that he prioritized the Champions League, but he had it in his mind. He was thinking about it, and I hope he learned that lesson because that lesson will be learned. Taught, if we didn't learn that lesson in 23-24, that lesson will be learned this season because it's going to happen again. We
Yeah.
are playing Newcastle. I mean, I don't know if I'm free. Do you have a program? I didn't start. Can I discuss the fixture list currently?
Mm-hmm,
We
mm-hmm.
have Newcastle tomorrow, and we have Atletico in midweek.
Atletico in midweek.
Okay,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
he cannot afford to pick a lineup or a strategy with Atletico in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about 3 points at Newcastle for me. Okay, when you get to Atletico, you look at who is available and who is fit and play the game in front of you. Okay, now
Mm-hmm.
after that we play Fulham.
Yeah.
All this before Man City plays again. So
Yeah.
we have the picture. The fixture list has presented us another opportunity to be 6 points clear before City plays.
And in addition to the 6 points, we need to also increase our goals as well. We're level on goal difference too.
No, we shouldn't think about that.
Okay.
I'll take 2-1 nil. Okay, I'll tell you why I'm thinking that way. So I'll win. Just get your 3 points. Put
Mm-hmm.
City. People think this league title is straightforward to win. No, look at Man City against Burnley. They didn't smash them like we all expected.
Yeah.
It was
Funny
a
enough.
nervy game for them.
Very.
So guys, we need to realize that the Premier League is difficult, and it is still all to play for. What Arsenal need to do is the fans can afford to act like they it's over. It's fine, but the players cannot for a second think that they are not in the picture to win the title.
Yeah.
Okay, so get your 3 points against Newcastle, get your win against Atletico Madrid. That puts you one leg
In the final.
and get another win against Fulham. Let's get to that point with 3 wins in
True.
the
True.
trot, one leg in the final of Champions League, and 6 points clear of City. I tell you, the mood of the fan base will change.
Yeah.
Then there's a conversation. Then you throw the question back to City. I've seen them nervy. They are fidgety. They didn't. Arsenal played them well enough to get something from the match. So it's not a City that I see steamrolling. They'll be getting results.
Yeah. They're a bit shaky.
Guys, there's something there. I don't know if we're going to take it, but there is something there for us. And we need to win the games. We need to win the games and be 6 points clear of City. Let them recover those points again. Now, when we should start thinking of goal difference for me is if we get to Burnley, that's the penultimate weekend.
Yeah. The game 37.
Now that is where you go gung ho. Forget through all caution to the wind. You need to get all your goals there. If we get to that point and there's this goal difference thing stay hanging around, that's because it's Burnley at home at the Emirates. You need to
at the Emirates
to get goals. But we cannot be thinking about goal difference right now. We should be thinking about getting 3 points and staying in the game, staying in the competition. Because you cannot afford to lose. You can't afford to drop any points before City. plays. We need to
Yeah.
put the pressure on City. What they do
Yeah.
to us, we need to do it. We need to put the pressure. That is the only way we can win this title. We need to give 6 points clear and let them have an opportunity to come back again. Let's see how they will do it. That's my take.
Yeah, and funny enough, they are going to play against Everton away, which is a very hard fixture for them historically.
Brother,
Not
they
that
have
you
tough.
know,
We all have tough. They have tough fixtures. We have difficult fixtures, but I mean, on paper, they have a tougher in the
run.
league. They have an FA Cup semi-final, which they will probably win. So
Yeah,
if they get to the
Southampton.
final, they are going to have a game rescheduled, I believe. So the idea that City have come back and yes, they are back. They are in it. They were out of it before, but they are back in it completely.
Yeah,
But
we allow them come back pretty
but
much.
but but it is not advantage City by any means. It is up to Arsenal to lay the gauntlet down and ask the question again: what will you do? We're 6 points clear, but that's looking too far. We have a match
Yeah,
to review.
awesome,
Newcastle,
awesome. So they,
you
they,
know,
they do better place to start than the Arteta press conference. And in that press conference, of course, the key thing was the availability of Bukayo Saka, Ricardo Calafiori, and Julian Timber. And for Saka, he said Bukayo is probably going to be in the squad, so that is good news. We have given him some time because there was a moment he was struggling to sustain the performances, and he wasn't comfortable at all. We have given him the right treatment and the right space. He has had some time for himself, and most importantly, he's back with us. So does that clearly mean that Saka is going to start tomorrow, or do you think the game is too soon for him to start?
yeah, I've not listened to the press conference. Unfortunately, I had a very tough week, day as
Mm-hmm.
well. So I'm gonna play it after this podcast. But I think when Mikel starts sounding like this, it's obvious that Saka is going to be in the squad. Okay, but it's obvious. I mean, if you were going to bet, you would put this your entire PSL. Now, whether he will start is a different conversation. If he can, I think he should. I think the strategy should be start a very strong team against. Um, are we doing lineups?
No, no, no. Eventually, we'll get to
Okay.
that slide.
Yeah, so I think we should start a very strong team, and go for it completely, and try and get something in the first half.
Okay,
Then,
mhm.
then you can think of the midweek games.
Yeah, but in Saka's absence, okay, now let's look at the games that he has missed. Obviously, his last game was the Carabao Cup final, where he allowed O'Reilly get beyond him to knock that ball in. He had the chance early in the game when he created work for Havertz, had the rebound. Trafford made a couple of saves from him. He missed international duty with England. At some point, people were thinking that we were intentionally not allowing him travel. The media was all up in our case and all that crap. But he missed the Southampton game, which I think he would have missed, obviously. He missed the Sporting CP game, both legs, missed Bournemouth and missed Man City. But in all honesty, prior to this injury, he had not really been in good form. So the question now, Tino, is how big of a miss has it really been for us?
So I think he definitely would have been better for us than having Madueke run the ball out of touch all the time, or on our wingers are not delivering in the Premier League.
At all,
Maybe in the
man.
Champions League, yes, but the Premier League, no. Trossard has hit a dip in form. Martinelli is not delivering goals since the Premier League currently. And Madueke, who had a good patch of form at the point, but so Saka is Saka. I mean, you can all trace back Saka's maybe lackluster season to niggling carryover injuries, but I'd rather have him on the pitch because he is, first of all, our set piece quality drops when he's not playing. Then,
Yeah.
then he is also one of the few players in the team that have a decent one v one ability, and he can shoot. He's a goal threat. Even when Saka is not playing well, he has more goals than the other wingers in the league. As few games that he has played, so he's always gonna be there to, and it adds a bit of creativity. So when I saw a stat earlier that we've not been able to put him, Odegaard, and Kai Havertz on the same page since 2024. That's a
Damn.
scandal.
Damn.
That's a scandal.
That's criminal, man.
So the thing is, the 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 team needs to. I think we are getting healthier now. Some players are coming back. So I mean, Hincapi is a big boost coming back in the left back slot, and if Saka can make it, and we have Odegaard, because trust me, people criticize Odegaard, but I tell you, Arsenal play differently when he's informed.
Yeah, we have more control than
When he's fit, we don't go stretches without scoring goals. I mean, look at the game against Man City. He had a clear influence on the match. So
yeah.
I like to see Odegaard and Eze start many games now.
Yeah.
If it means dropping one of the double pivot Zubimendi, so be it. We need to win. We need to win. So we have to change how we attack the games and be more risk, inclined.
Yeah, because then again, if we use this lineup,
is available.
Yeah, if we use this Man City lineup against Bournemouth, I think we would have won.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because the attacking progression was just there for everyone to see.
But are you surprised? I tell people, you need your best players in the running. Now, Pep Guardiola has mastered the art of winning in April and May because he always ensures his players are fit towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. And that is where I can indict Mikel Arteta. I feel that it is a recurrent theme in our seasons. And if it happens once, you can call it luck. If it's consistent, then there's a problem somewhere. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about what they are going through behind the scenes. But that needs to change. That can't keep happening. You're not going to win the big titles if you do not have your best players fit and ready for the run-in. Because it's clear we had a major part of our attacking better players playing, and they could have a performance against Man City. They could have easily, taken a result, something out of the match.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
It's important that we keep players fit and available for the next month and see where we end up finish.
True. Then of course, it was asked about Calafiori and Timber, and he said for Calafiori, he'll probably be in the squad, probably. Then Timber, he said he's not in the squad. So Timber left the pitch against Everton. That was last month, right? And that day, it was Mosquera that came on as a sub. But in the game that Ben White has played in Timber's stead, I have not been impressed. Against Southampton, for the life of me, I don't know how that ball went above his head to allow Rostewa to score. And it was very clear that against Sporting CP, if we continue to use him in that pitch, we would have been in trouble. But Mosquera, on the other hand, despite being very good defensively, doesn't offer us much in attack. So where do you find that balance? In a game like this now, Newcastle, where you need to get a win at all costs, would you still go for White, or would you trust to use Mosquera against their pacey wingers?
So I'll go White in the Champions League and Mosquera in the Premier League. I'll go with Mosquera.
White against Lookman?
I read somewhere that Lookman is not well. He's struggling with some injury. Well, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, the Champions League is a different pace. It's a different game. It's not. So I trust Arsenal to defend better in the Champions League than in the Premier League currently. I don't know why, but when I watch our games in the Champions League, I don't feel like there's a threat. I just feel that Arsenal can grind out results in the Champions League. Mm-hmm. And in the Champions League, you don't have to win. You don't need to win the match. So in the Premier League, you have to win the match. So that's the difference. So I'd rather go with a secure defender in the Premier League that can run with his, markers, wingers, and make tackles. Mosquera has proved to be very resourceful in these last few games he's played.
Fair enough.
I think Ben White has he's a better player than we are seeing. He's still very good attacking wise, but defensively he spent too much time out of the on the sidelines that I think he's yet to find his defensive form. And we need that. But for now, I think we go Mosquera and against Newcastle. And on Newcastle, I also think we might meet a team that is not as motivated as the other Newcastle teams usually are. Because I don't know, I think they don't have any much.
Yeah, they're
they're not playing for anything. Players are beginning to keep their legs for the World Cup. You know, their core Brazilians are not giving in any effort. It's almost like the manager is a dead man walking. So I think it's best time to play Newcastle. This is the time.
Awesome.
We have a chance there.
Welcome, Rory. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself, bro?
I'm chilled. So we're just talking about the press conference. I think I'll just go to you on this one. So he was asked about Liam Rosinio, who was sacked by Chelsea. And what he said was, it's sad to see a colleague leave a club, especially when we are so close to the end of the season. At the end, the clubs are here and they have to make the decisions, So what was your take on Liam Rosinio's time at Chelsea? And how good is that pay bump is about to receive for losing, imagine signing a 6.5-year contract, and after 4 months, you have been asked to just go to the Bahamas and have some fun. So how good is that 24M is about to get, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I found him very dislikable at first, but now he's sort of molded as one of my favourite managers in the Premier League. I ain't even gonna lie. But in all seriousness, I don't know what Chelsea were expecting, really. Like, this guy got sacked at Hull and Derby County, I believe. He was a shit footballer, and equally, he's a shit manager as well. I mean, it's just, like, to me, Chelsea shouldn't have, put him in the position they did in the first place. Like, although I despise that football club, Chelsea do have history about them. They have been far more successful than anyone in London in the last, 15 years, due to the amount of sackings they've given to managers, really. And I just think with the ownership, and since Bluco actually was appointed as the what would you call them, like basically when they got appointed as Chelsea's co-owners, whatever.
Bluco,
right? Yeah. I just think since then it's gone downhill ever since they sacked Thomas Tuchel, innit? They've gone through. I mean, I've lost count how many managers they've had lately, so it's kind of crazy. Like, they've still not found the right man. Really, it just feels like every manager they've had seems like they've had a falling out with the board, etc., etc. I believe Maresca had a falling out, Tuchel had a falling out, etc. And I honestly thought they would have given Rossini time. This guy was given a 6-year contract, I believe, at Chelsea. So I'm just like, well, I mean, what was the point in that? I didn't expect it to come, as I said, so soon, because I find him like as another yes man, if that makes sense, at Chelsea, and I don't think he necessarily had any sort of like altercations with the board. It's just results weren't good enough for them, and they find themselves obviously like I think 7th in the league, in the Conference League position, or maybe Europa League now, actually, seeing as the 5th place is up for grabs, Champions League. So Yeah, I don't think he was ever the right guy to take charge for Chelsea. I think in every big game this season, he's pretty much
Yeah.
folded. Like we've done them 3 times in the space of what, a month, something like that. Um, PSG. I mean, he started their second choice goalkeeper for some absurd reason. That was their biggest game of the season. That's probably their only shot of winning a trophy. I know they're in the semi-finals of the FA Cup, but let's be honest, I think Man City will tramp through that FA
Yeah.
Cup because, again, Chelsea, they're managerless pretty much. Like they have to put that same geezer they had in charge who got a point away at Man
Yeah,
City, I
McFarlane.
believe. They might as well have just waited until the end of the season, to be honest with you, before they made a decision on Rafinha. But I just think with Chelsea, right, this has got a Gary O'Neill appointment written all over it. It just makes sense. Like all the dots are connecting at the moment. It feels like as long as that ownership at Chelsea is still there, they won't be appointing anyone with any sort of ambition, testicles, whatever, right? Because they've tried it in the past, they had, fallings out with the likes of Tuchel. They've had, of course, Maresca, etc. I'm trying to think of Pochettino, I think was another
Potter.
one. Yeah, Potter. I don't think I just think he was shit, I mean, that's why he got sacked. But all of these managers, right? I think I saw something the other day that Enzo Fernandez has played under what, 5 managers? Is it since he's been at
Crazy.
Chelsea? I'm trying to think now. So Graham Potter, Frank Lampard, Pochettino, Maresca, Rafinha.
Wow.
5 managers, and he's been at Chelsea for 3 years. I mean, that is that's staggering, and you could probably say 6 now. In fact, if you count the keys that's coming. Yeah, so I think that football club's in a mess. I think apart from probably 3 or 4 players, and I'm not even saying I rate all 4 of them players. I think the only one I can somewhat respect is Reece James. I think he's their
Yeah,
best
but he's
player.
always injured now, so there's no point actually having him.
Cucurella I can't really stand. Yeah, Cucurella I can't really stand, but he's a decent left back, isn't he? Caicedo, if I say what needs to be said about Caicedo, I'm just saying I'll get hounded by Chelsea fans. Don't rate that geezer at all. Cole Palmer in the last 2 years has been shocking, shockingly bad. So I think there's only 2 Chelsea players I rate. The rest of them, that they're bang average. How are you spending £1 billion only to end up with Delap, Neto, and Garnacho as your front 3? It does not make any sense. And then you look at their bench, and I'm like, it's almost like Chelsea are in their Wenger out era, if that makes sense. When, like, I'm not even joking. Like, you look at the bench, you look at the starting 11. At least towards Wenger's tenure, we had Aubameyang, Lacazette, etc. Chelsea, when you look at their attack, it's hideous. You got the defense hideous, apart from the fullbacks. The goalkeeper, despite Chelsea fans thinking Robert Sanchez is, the cat's pajamas, etc. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the league. I think he's bang average. Not the guy who you want in goal for a league title, that's for sure, or at least challenging for a league title. So, as I said, that club is in a mess, and I'm here for the downfall. However, I feel like I can't really celebrate too much on their downfall because of Arsenal's state at the moment, because we could be winning the same amount as them lot this season. So, yeah, that's all I have to say really about Chelsea.
That makes sense. So before we leave this line, Tino, there's just one question I was asked to Arteta. Is the journalist said, on our final 5 games, are they about mentality, than tactics? And this was his response. I want you to talk about your thought on that question and your thoughts on Ateta's response. His response was, this is the reality in the context of the two teams and where we are at the table with the amount of games left. That it is the right way for him to express it and how he feels. So asking you that question now, you have 5 games left. Man City has 6 games when you add the Crystal Palace fixture. Is it about the mentality of the lads going to each game, or is it about Arteta changing his tactics to suit each game? No,
You
Tino.
asking me?
Yeah. No, so
Oh,
tactics has to be there, but it's more about how much the. So I'll put it at tactics is 20%. The rest is how much the players want to win. They need to shut the noise, the external noise out, and go on the pitch and play like their life depended on winning. That's what needs to happen. The tactical aspect is that Arteta needs to find a way to get all the good players on the pitch. So find a way to play Eze with Odegaard. Pretty much the lineup we had against Man City, then with maybe Bukayo Saka on the wing, because Madueke is currently a scandal. I don't even want to go into. So
I agree.
if that bit of it, the tactics comes in, but it's more about desire. Like I think he accepted. It's about
Okay.
your mindset right now.
Fair enough. Okay, guys, so this is what I don't want us to talk. We have to talk about, although it's very sad. I think I have to worry on this. Sad. In our first 50 games, Arsenal lost only 3 games. The Dominic Soboslai free kick, where it was a Walden, obviously, and it was a late goal, so we didn't have much time to react. Even though yes, he had that late chance, he should have buried. The Buendia goal, where obviously we had injury challenges. We did okay in that game, but obviously it was a late goal. And of course, the Matheus Cunha goal. Those were like proper golazos, right? That were enough to win games in quote. And that was in our first 50 games. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In our next 6 games after that, we have lost 4. The Carabao Cup final, Southampton, Bournemouth, and Man City. So, Rory, how big of a concern is it regarding our form? And what's your take? Do you think we have what it takes to come out of this rut?
well, first and foremost, I think the form has been demoralising, if I'm being honest. You look at the last, 6, 7 games, it's been underwhelming. Like that Everton game felt like a felt like a distant memory. Like where is that? I know we had an international break in between, but you're thinking after that Everton game, right? This is it. Surely there is no possible way, especially during the circumstances and the way we scored them 2 goals. You're thinking, right, cup final is next. We've got some relatively winnable games here and there, like a decent FA Cup run. Bournemouth will be a tough game, but it's at home. We've still, got to play more home games from now until the end of the season than away games. So this was all in Arsenal's hands to bury this league title. For me, and I know we've sort of, I would say we necessarily hyped up the Man City performance because, like, it's true, we played okay. We played a lot better than we have done in the last few weeks, that's for sure. But my problem is, why didn't we actually give it a go? Why did we play like that when the chips were down, when we had the opportunity to capitalise on Man City dropping points? Why didn't we do that? Because if we played like we did against Man City, against, for instance, Forest away, Liverpool at home, I'm looking at them games in particular. If we actually gave it a go, I'm not saying we created tons of opportunities, but in terms of like the way we set out, we had chances of our own. If we played like we did against Man City, we would have got a result against Forest. We would have got a result against that dead Liverpool team. 100%. And that title would have been done. We would have been sat here, right, okay, away from home against Man City, we lost, but we're still, 9-10 clear? But now, we've left it far too late. And, that's the harsh truth. And, it's a shame, really, because, as I said, we really should be in this position where it's all down to, and it honestly won't surprise me if it does go down to goal difference. And I don't think I'll be able to handle that. I'd rather just lose the title by like 6 points. Just lose it on goal difference. I'm not even joking. Like I don't think my heart could take it, really.
Yeah.
Losing it on goal difference on the last day. I mean, at least come the time where we know, right, we've got to win by a long margin here on the last day. I just think, well, hold on a minute. If you lose the title by 6 points before the last game of the season, you're not playing for anything. At least you know what's expected, right? But losing on goal difference, as I said, nah, I can't be having that. I just can't. You know what it is? I think we're in for one last, twist in the tail, Just one last bit of heartbreak. They're going to do me in once again, right? Man City next week, I think they've got Everton, right? They will drop points next week. Either Everton or Bournemouth away from home, because those are arguably the two games that you look at and go, oh, that could be a potential banana skin. They will drop points in one of them two games. And then, get our hopes up. On my days, titles back in our hands. We just need to win this game, etc. We'll then drop points to a West Ham, for instance, away from home. And then we're just back to square one. I think we're in for it one last time this season. I don't think it's going to be, Man City are going to win their last 5 games of the season. I don't think it's also a case of us winning our last 5 games of the season either. I don't. I think both of us are going to slip up at one stage.
Okay, fair enough.
I just think they're going to take us through it again, Nate. I'm ready to.
Okay, that's fair. So, Tino, Rory has spoken about the form. Now let's talk about the players. In this poor run of form where we've, basically from the Carabao Cup final up until this point, have there been any players you can actually beat your chest and say these guys carried the team through? Or has it just been a case of everybody playing so badly on a game-by-game basis? So if there are any players, you want to call them out and talk about the performances in what game that stood out for you in this run of form?
You mean the bad performances or the players?
No. Like, are there any players that will play well enough, despite the fact that the team has been in poor form?
No, I think Saliba and Gabriel have been decent. The back line hasn't been poor. We are just not scoring. So most of the blame I have is with the manager and the front players. Mikel Arteta, for me, he started this poor run by his decision to play games in the cup final.
Kepa,
the cup final, you go with your best goalkeeper. And, Kepa introduces this dip in form, and it continues. It starts spreading. So if Arsenal manage to win the cup final, then who knows? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, the mentality would have been different.
You can't say for sure that we won't lose the game we lost, but who knows? But you see, this is crunch time. This is title winning time. Go with your best. You don't owe Kepa anything. You don't owe that goalkeeper anything. You have to be ruthless. You've not won the league. You've not won the league in 20. The club hasn't won the league in 22 years. We've not won a cup in since 2020. So, well, that's where I blame him. Then subsequently, the players have held their own. I'll give Gabriel. I mean, Hincapi whenever he plays has been very good. Mosquera, has been quite, a player at this period. I think where I find the fault has mostly been up front and the general lethargic play. And, it's a combination of players not being available and the available players. The biggest problem has been the wingers, Trossard, Gabriel
Madueke,
Martinelli, and
Martinelli.
Madueke. These three guys have been shocking, to say the least. And it is due to their poor form that Arsenal has not been able to generate the goals that can see us still game. But hey, they have another chance tomorrow. Yeah?
Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's go to Newcastle. Rory, in their last 7 games, they have been smashed 5 times.
Wow.
So following their win against Man United, that late Osola goal that got everyone talking, they lost at home to Man City in the FA Cup. Then they had a respectable 1-1 draw with Barcelona before having a 1-0 win against Chelsea. Chelsea obviously were in the poor run of form as well. But since then, they've gone downhill. 7-2 to Barcelona, 1-2 loss at home to Sunderland, 2-1 loss away to Crystal Palace, and another 1-2 loss at home to Bournemouth. So they are currently 14th on the table. How mentally checked out do you think these guys are? And do you think this is going to be a run in the park for us?
Yeah, I mean, you've noticed in the last 3 years under Eddie Howe, right, where Newcastle have been in Europe. I think they finished outside of the European places every time. They are playing twice a week. But when they weren't in Europe, last season, they obviously got back into the Champions League. They're playing once a week. They obviously won a trophy that season as well. And I think it also gave Eddie Howe the time to develop certain players such as, Isak, etc., who really kicked on that season, hence, the move to Liverpool and that. I think this season is pretty much a carbon copy of what happened a couple seasons back, where they finished 8th. But now, I wouldn't say they're in a relegation battle, but if they do keep Eddie Howe for next season, which I'm not entirely sure they will actually, then I think they could be in a relegation battle, because if you think about it, they could be losing players like Tonali. I think that's,
Bruno.
he's definitely in the red zone at the moment. Bruno Guimaraes won't stick around. I'm looking at who else? Anthony Gordon won't be there. Although
Yeah, Gordon. I think Gordon is even checked out here. He looks like someone that's about to leave too.
And I'll be honest, I don't even think he's that good anyway. I think he's shit. I mean, to be fair, maybe for a Chelsea or someone like that, someone who's going for top 4, it'll be decent in that aspect. But I'm not looking at him and going, yeah, he's the level raiser for Arsenal at left wing. Not a chance. You can look at his Champions League record, but look at Martinelli's record as well in the Champions League. So it doesn't really move me whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at their striker options, and I'm like, well, how much have they spent on both Visser and Voldemort?
Yeah.
They spent over 100 million on both strikers, yet they can't get a game. I mean, Visser, it's fair to say, that season at Brentford was just an anomaly. And he basically done an Alexander Isak, didn't he, in the summer? And he decided, I want to follow suit. I want to be that Alexander Isak replacement, etc. So I'm going to force my way out to play in the Champions League for Newcastle. And it's not worked out. I think he has been... I mean... I thought he was actually at first at Brentford quite clinical in front of goal, but
Mm-hmm.
my God, he just can't seem to know where the back of the net is at times, which is madness.
Yeah.
Because as I said, like at Brentford, I rated him. I don't know whether it's because he had him Burmo alongside him. I'm not sure. And then you look at Voltamard, who started very well at Newcastle, if you ask me. But I just think Eddie Howe's ruined his development, you know. I really do. And now he's playing in midfield, like what it feels like. And
I
yeah,
agree.
I mean, I don't know if you saw the clip as well. I'm pretty sure Voltamard has since he scored that own goal against Sunderland. I don't remember the last time he actually scored. It's kind of madness. He's got more own goals since the turn of the year than actual goals. It's kind of madness. I'm
Yeah.
seeing him singing Chandelier and shit like that, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, like this is your 67. However, like much they paid for him, right? I think it was close to 70 actually to sing Chandelier. Really, like come on.
Yeah.
And then you look at how much they spent on Alanga as well.
Yeah, like
Another
55
one.
quid. That's a lot of money on the Langa as well.
Yeah, he's pretty much a pace abuser. That's it. I thought, whenever I watched Alanga, right, it makes me respect Martinelli more. I've got to be honest with you, because I swear Alanga has a similar playing style. Every time I watch him, by the way, every time, similar play style to Gabriel Martinelli, where the guy just runs into far too many blind alleys. And for 50 odd million, I think he scored like one goal for Newcastle, which is absolutely abysmal, if you ask me. So I think probably you could say their sign of the summer has been Aaron Ramsdale. And I can't even, like, bro, I keep forgetting that guy is on loan from Southampton. I keep thinking we sent him out on loan to Newcastle. And I thought at first he can't play at the weekend, can he? But I realised no, he's on loan from Southampton. This is the thing.
Yeah.
The fact he got relegated from Southampton, came back to the Premier League, played in the Champions League as well. Came on loan to Newcastle, has taken that number one spot, has been fairly decent at Newcastle with a couple of
Yeah. Ahead of Pope
clangers in
too.
there. I'm not going to lie. But apart from Ramsdale and I forget about Lewis Hall as well. He won't last long at Newcastle. Trust me, he'll be gone. So will Livramento, and because Newcastle are in this like financial predicament, they'll have no choice but to sell quite a few of their best players. So I mean, it's highly likely that they are not going to be played in Europe next season. So I think they are. I'm trying to say it without swearing, but yeah, they are quite they are in a rough patch, I'll say, because yeah, when they don't get Europe and they have to sell a number of their best players and they've got to replace them as well. And if you look at their recruitment in the summer, the way they replaced Isak, used that money to buy Voltamada and Visso have not worked out so far. I don't really trust them to bring in the right players to replace, them who are going to be leaving in the summer. I'm not saying all of them, by the way, but definitely some of them. I think Tonali's, no doubt in my mind, is going to be going.
Yeah. For sure.
Lewis Hall will be probably leaving. Livramento will be leaving. Bruno Guimaraes is a maybe. I don't know, right? And of course, they'll have to search for a new manager if they let go of Eddie Howe. So, as I said, I think they are in a rut at the moment, Newcastle. But of course, with with Arsenal, you never know at the weekend. We could give them that confidence booster. You just never know whether that be 3 points or just a point, because they've set the blueprint lately on how to get a point or a win even at the Emirates, and they've done it quite a few times. I
Yeah,
know
fine.
we beat them at St James's Park, brilliant. But at the same time, it's at the Emirates. I don't really trust us to get a result against anyone at the moment. And of course, I hope I'm wrong, but there we go.
Fair enough. So, Tino, obviously, Rory mentioned a couple of players that are going to certainly leave in the summer. But do you think Eddie Howe will be giving the boot based on how Newcastle has played, or do you think they will still stick with him this summer?
But I think he's a dead man walking. He's gone. He won't make it. I think he's gone.
Yeah, I agree.
I
All
don't
right,
think
guys. So let's have a quick look at the injuries. You cannot talk us now without talking about the injuries. So right now, what we know for sure is that Miguel Merino is still out. I think he said it's like 3 or 4 weeks before coming on grass. And for Matata's press conference, Julian Timber is out. That means that the squad is quite good in terms of the clean bill of health. But for Newcastle, they have Kraft out, Fabian Schär out, Livramento out, Anthony Gordon out, and of course the top Joel Linton suspended. So let's talk about Newcastle. I think Tina, I'll start with you on this. How big of a miss are the folks like Shah, Livramento, Joelinton, and Gordon? Do you think with those kind of players out, it will be like an easy cakewalk for us now? Or do you think they have enough depth to cover?
No, I think Newcastle are existing in that space in the season where there are no objectives they are playing for. It's mostly players just showing up and going through the motions. And the manager is not going to make it. So I think obviously you'd rather play a team without their best players when you are not high in confidence. So not having Joe Linton, at least Joe Linton is not yet to break someone's leg or kick us about. So yeah, I believe this is the best I had mentioned earlier. It's the best time to play Newcastle. The missing players will affect them. They are coming to the Emirates. I think the Arsenal players still know that there's a lot to play, and I believe that if we are going to have another slip up, it's not tomorrow. West Ham, Rory mentioned earlier that he won't be surprised we win tomorrow and go and mess up at West Ham. That's the kind of thing that Arsenal has done in the past. Maybe if it becomes a high pressure game and we don't get enough goals. If you take Arsenal into the late moment, last final 15 minutes, and the game is level, you have a chance. So that's what needs to change. We need to return to our defensive solidity in the late dying moments and also score goals. The last goal we scored, the last 5 games, we scored 2 goals, and it's all been crappy. Kai Havertz was blocking a goal kick and scored a goal, and the one before that was, I can't even remember.
No, the one before that was the penalty from Vitor Gyökeres.
Yes,
Against Bournemouth.
we need to start scoring goals and start winning games. It's because the confidence that if we win 1-0 tomorrow and go to the Champions League and get some goals and win the game, then you can see a route back into the title proper for the team. But if tomorrow ends up with a draw or a disappointing result, then you are not heaping the pressure you need to heap on Man City, because Man City will not play. The next time Man City plays a Premier League game, Arsenal would have played 2 times, and we need to be 6 points clear, or else it's questions have to be asked about the mentality of the sport.
True. Okay, so let's go to the latest results. So you can see reds everywhere. These are 2 teams that are clearly not in good form. Arsenal's last 5 games, the loss to Southampton, goals from Ross Stewart and Shea Charles. Gyökeres scored the only goal for Arsenal. Then we went to play Sporting CP in Lisbon. That was the game that Raya was undoubtedly our man of the match because, man, we got pumped that day, and he made a lot of amazing saves to keep us in the context. This was followed up the loss at home to Bournemouth. Eli Junior Krupi scored the first goal. Gyökeres scored a penalty. Then Alex Scott just walked into our central defense and scored the match winner. Then when Sporting CP came to town, it was a real ball fest where we played on the edge pretty much. They clipped the post. We also clipped the post as well. But the first leg was enough to take us to the semis. And of course, Man City. Cheki's goal was very painful when you see it on second replay. I don't know why Gabriel and Rice allowed him to just waltz past them like that. Kai Havertz did well to get an equalizer by closing down Donnarumma. But of course, Erling Haaland got ahead of Gabriel. Score what proved to be the match winner. So looking at our latest form, Tino, what are your concerns in terms of the results? Do you think that this Newcastle game will be a green? Or do you think that the pressure going into this game will Newcastle cannot play as well as they should?
So, looking at our results, the loss to Southampton, I mean, it's no point discussing that. We've not played well. We haven't played well up until the loss to the Man City match. So, that is the game I will hold as a reference. The home game against Sporting Lisbon was tainted by the result to Bournemouth. Because if we had come out from the Bournemouth game with a win, the result and performance against Sporting wasn't bad. It was just a professional midweek Champions League game where we didn't have to win. We already had the win. We were ahead from the first leg. I knew that if the game goes into extra time, you are at home, you can play it out. And Arsenal never looked under threat against Sporting. So the only thing I can tell you if I'm going to be optimistic about our results is that our defensive qualities are beginning to return. Okay? And against Man City, the team showed that they can also create chances. Once again, they looked more like an Arsenal team. So I'm hoping that they carry the same result and only this time finish your dinner. Don't go kicking the ball around where you need to shoot this decisive and score goals. So if we can get a 1-0, 2-0 clean sheet win against Newcastle, then it begins. These results begin to pale because you can see form returning. I know it's easy to look at the results, but I like looking at performances. The performance against Southampton was absolutely shocking. The performance against Sporting was there. It's lukewarm. I mean, it's away at a very proud European team, big team. So we needed our goalkeeper to come up trumps and get a result. Bournemouth wasn't a terrible performance. We lost the game, but it was. I mean, so the ball that deflected to Scott that he scored was. I mean, it couldn't be helped. But what the problem was that the team didn't generate the goals. They didn't put Bournemouth under pressure enough to win the match. So it could have been a game where we keep Bournemouth at arm's length, then win it 1-0. One of these cheap 1-0 games, and we are in. Nobody will complain. But the fact that they scored and we couldn't find, and we had time. They scored early. And we had
they scored like I'm 60th minute or thereabout.
We had up to 30 minutes, and from the time they scored till the game over, we didn't touch them. So it was a shocking performance after we conceded. Then Sporting Lisbon, like I said, decent European performance, see out the result. The Man City game we played. We went to the Etihad with they had the fans behind them. We had decent chances to win, but to score, I mean, I don't think we outplayed them to win, but we played well enough to get a result. Maybe a draw.
Yeah, because we had some very good chances. AJ hit the bar, Gabriel hit the bar, Havertz had that header that he should have buried,
Even one-on-ones, and they also had chances. So the game was a draw would have been
balanced.
Okay, so when you look at the Newcastle, I'm not seeing a lot of football in the last few weeks. I've only watched the Arsenal more than every other team, but I only see that the few times I watched Newcastle, they've been underpowered. The manager looks like he's lost his team. and they are just not playing with any inspiration. Barcelona absolutely hammered them in the Champions League, and since then they've been losing 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. They lost at home in the derby, lost to Crystal Palace in a game. I think they went ahead. So it's just been a disaster for them. And I think Newcastle can rock up to the Emirates with that form I'm looking at, and in the recovery form we have showed, and get a win. So it is left for the Arsenal to impose the will and win the match. Get the 3 points, register the 3 points. Don't think about the Champions League. Register the 3 points tomorrow. The Champions League will take care of itself. Let's register the win. We've not won convincingly in a while. Let us win a game convincingly, go to the Champions League, get a result. Then the fans are going to feel better because the next game is Fulham. It's coming to the Emirates, right? And you have a chance to win 2 games at home and have a 6-point buffer. Guys, do not underestimate the importance of these buffers at this stage in the season. It heaps an unbelievable pressure on the chasing pack. And we need to. The only I can tell you that the only thing this team owes the fans is to come into that Man City should play their next Premier League game 6 points behind us. Now let's watch them because they are going to go to Everton and they are going to go to Bournemouth, and they can win the 2 matches. It's obviously it's Pep Guardiola's Man City, but I want to see them win those 2 matches from the position of being behind 6 points.
I agree. So, Rory, looking at Newcastle's last 4 games, like their form has been terrible. Ramsdale has been shipping so many goals. But one thing we know for sure is that from time past, anytime a former Arsenal goalkeeper comes to the Emirates, they tend to just change to Manuel Neuer overnight. We're seeing with Martinez, we're seeing with Ben Leno, So do you think Ramsdale is going to have a blinder against us tomorrow, Rory?
Probably. Seeing as like he is, I won't say every single player, but he's definitely familiar with a few. He's going to want to prove a point, considering like the way we upgraded on him with David Raya, etc., and just the whole situation in general. Yeah, like honestly, it will not surprise me whatsoever if he does have one of these games. Obviously, regardless of who it is in goal, like whenever we do create opportunities, well, when we want to, obviously when we want to play with the handbrake on, we've had this tendency of just random goalkeepers just turning up. Like, I remember Fraser Forster. Just a random name out there who would just have the game of his life against Arsenal every time we would play against him. So it's always the randoms in it that will just have, like Hermanson last season against Leicester. So I'm just like, well, why is it every time? These goalkeepers, Biender, Man United, who's utter shit. Hermanson's probably been number 2 at West Ham for the majority of the season. He went down with Leicester last season. That's what I'm saying. Like, these goalkeepers can have the one-off game against Arsenal. I'm not saying Ramsdale is a random, but this guy has been relegated how many times in his career? So, like, because it's Arsenal, it won't surprise me. It also won't surprise me if he does turn up.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's have a look at the lineups, Rory. Starting with Arsenal. So the potential lineup I've put this time is Raya in goal, Hincapié on the left-hand side, Gabriel and Saliba together in the middle, Busquets on the right, Rice and Zubimendi, as the double pivot. Odegaard in the number 10 position, Eze on the left, Madueke on the right. Isaka is not fully fit to start, and Kai Havertz. It's basically the same team that played Man City. So, is there anyone that you probably change in this lineup, and who would it be?
Quite a bit actually. Like if we play that team, I'm telling you now, we're dropping points. Um, I don't mind the back four, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't really mind who plays at right back. I think we can get away with either Mosquera or Ben White. The midfield, I mean, did you know that if Subamendi was going to start tomorrow, which is going to be very likely, right? It would be his 50th game for Arsenal already, and it's his first season.
Down.
This guy's played too many minutes, as far as I'm aware. So I just don't know why this guy does not trust Lewis Skelly in the middle. I'm looking at Man City, and they brought in Reinders in the summer. He started for Man City pretty much every game up until January, and then they started playing O'Reilly in midfield, and now they're top of the league because it's paired off. Yeah, like some of it you could put down to Arsenal bottling it again, but at the same time, Man City and Pep Guardiola won't have his favourites. If he sees something that he don't like, if there is something that he can just switch just like that in his system, you can bet my bottom dollar he will do it.
Straight
And
up.
he's done it countless times. It's when in the 22-23 season, where I think it was past February time, and we're 8 points clear. Pep Guardiola switched to a three at the back formation. He switched formation and he decided to play John Stones in the midfield. And you look at what they've done this season, they've done exactly the same thing. They put O'Reilly in midfield. They're going for three at the back. It's something like a three at the back, but it's more of a four with, two holders, and then you've got Cherky, Doku, Semenyo as outlets with Haaland up top, etc. I look at Arsenal, and the lack of rotation so far this year has been a key factor for Arsenal. And this is why Subamendi, in every big game, it feels like, is hiding in possession. So he shouldn't be playing this game. He shouldn't. In fact, he should have been rested, for me, weeks ago, because this was the opportunity to give Lewis Skelly games in midfield. Just a run of games, and if he doesn't perform there, then cool. But he hasn't. And it's not going to be long until Zubamendi picks up an injury. Norgard isn't trusted. I don't think he is the level that we require to get us over the line. But at the same time, he should have been given more minutes, especially off the bench. I'm not saying this so he's starting every week, but definitely when he has the opportunity to, bring Norgard on in the last, 10 minutes when we're leading, because we threw away far too many points this season. You look at Sunderland, etc., away from home. So this is why I'm saying rotation is key in these title races. Trust me. So I know Zubamendi's going to be starting tomorrow. He needs to actually grab that game by the scruff of the neck. I'm looking at the midfield. Eze on the left-hand side. He's done nothing wrong to come out of that position. Odegaard, this guy played two games in the space of 2 weeks. No, that shouldn't be the case. The guy's just come back from injury. Why are you rushing him back? Madueke isn't good enough. He's crap. Let's just have it right. For 50 M's. Not good enough. And you look at Havertz up top. It's all well and good linking up the play and shit. But I keep saying that in order for it to work, you need to stay on side, mate. You need to watch the line. And this is why I'm saying, in a game like this, it's now do or die. You don't win this game, title's over. Why shouldn't you start your best striker? So for me, I'm going Gyökeres up front, Eze in the 10, probably going Trossard on the left. I'm going Dalman on the right. I don't care if he's 16, but he deserves to start. He should have come on at least against Man City. Then you look at the back four, I don't mind. Goalkeeper speaks for itself, but it's just that attack. Dalman on the right, Eze in the 10, Trossard on the left, and then Gyökeres up front. You use Havertz as an impact sub. And that's how it should be, because it's not good enough to start games. Misses too many opportunities. In the last 2 weeks, against Bournemouth, missing from 2 yards, and against Man City, missing 2 vital opportunities that, if that's Haaland in that situation, we all know where it's going. So that's what I'll be doing. That's Haaland. That's Haaland in that situation. We all know where it's going. So that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, thanks, Rory. Sorry, I had a network glitch. I lost my power and I tried to switch my internet back. Please, are you still with me, Rory?
Oh, wait, bro's back.
Oh, awesome. Sorry, I had a power switch, so my internet went off. So I tried to, come back.
I was wondering why your camera went pitch black.
Yeah, but I was listening to what you said. You play Kai Havertz as a substitute. Just my concern with that is that Victor Gyökeres, in the games that he has really been playing, for some reason, I don't know, man. I just feel that when he leads the line for us in some certain type of games, we don't have control. And I think it's worse when you have the likes of Madueke and Martinelli providing support from the flanks. Maybe you can start Gyökeres. I love the idea of playing down man. For the life of me, I don't know why the manager does not trust down man enough. And I feel that the way that Madueke has been stinking up the place, that man would have been a good option, to continue playing. But unfortunately, that hasn't been happening. But just one thing we just have to live with. So looking at Newcastle, they've had too many injuries. Obviously, we have Ramsdale in goal. Livramento is out, so there's Trippier on the right hand side. Lewis Hall on the left with Botman and Thiel. Of course, Shah is still injured. Then you have Miley, Tonali, and then Ramsey with Barnes, Osula, and Elanga. So how stunned are you that both Votemad and Wissa are not even considered for selection, and Osula is not taking their place?
Yeah, I mean, it's not obviously the strongest Newcastle team. I actually don't think Bruno Guimaraes will actually start tomorrow because he's just come back from injury. But it's still, a decent midfield. Like, Jacob Ramsey, I don't think has necessarily hit the ground running like he did when he first burst onto the scene at Aston Villa.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be all about the midfield battle, really. Like, if Newcastle can win that midfield battle, which is what they've done over recent years, then I think, they could probably get a result, really. I think the defence is actually not too bad, really. Well, obviously, Trippier's getting on a little bit. But, the attack is the main problem for Newcastle. You could say Harvey Barnes has been Newcastle's best attacker. I actually rate him, to be fair. I think, on his day, he can be a very tidy player, and he's fairly clinical. I prefer him to Gordon, to be honest. Like, out of him and Gordon, I'm not saying I'd definitely take Harvey Barnes. He's any good, and he'll raise us to the next level. But I definitely prefer him over Anthony Gordon, that's for sure, because I think out of the games I've seen from Newcastle so far this season, Harvey Barnes has definitely been the most impressive, I'd say.
Mhm.
And then Asula, I've not really, seen a whole lot of him really. Like, obviously, he scored against Man United, but I'm hearing from Newcastle fans that he can be very frustrated at times, and he's not necessarily a goal scorer. And I think he's young anyway.
He's quite young.
I don't know how old he is actually, to be precise, but um, yeah, the fact they're playing him up front instead of both their strikers that they played
He's
over 100 million
22.
for is speaks volumes. And Alanga, I've already mentioned, isn't good enough for Newcastle. I thought that was a good signing at the time, although for 50 odd million, probably not worth it. But I don't know how he can go from the player he was at Nottingham Forest, where Man United fans had a lot of regrets, to the player he is now at Newcastle, where he's just flat to deceive. So I think, obviously, I think Miley's a decent young player as well, but again, he is more for the future, I'd say, and he
Yeah.
could be that long-term Guimaraes or Tonali replacement. But yeah, it's obviously not the strongest Newcastle team. It's not the same from what it was last season. When Gordon was playing out of his skin, Isak, etc. When he had Bruno Guimaraes fit, it's not the same Newcastle team. Even like the same Newcastle team from like the 22-23 season, where Almiron was on that crazy purple patch from
Hmm.
October onwards. So, as I said, like, it's not the same Newcastle team. We should be getting 3 points, but I don't know. Like, it's Arsenal at the end of the day. If we set out with that team, because I think that is a predicted lineup right on FotMob, then we will drop points. Because, as I said, like Odegaard in the cab in the attacking midfield position, 2 games in a row after he's just come back from injury. No, Madueke isn't good enough.
Yeah.
And Dalman should be given a shot on the right hand side. And then, Havertz misses too many opportunities. He shouldn't be rewarded for missing chances when we're at this stage of the season where we've got to win games. We've got to take our opportunities. So
Yeah, but
you start
but
your
but then
best
again,
striker.
Gyökeres had two big chances he missed against Bournemouth too.
Yeah, but how many chances can you name in the last 3 seasons that Havertz has missed?
Well, yeah,
He's
a whole lot, man. A
so
whole lot.
many flipping chances
Yeah.
where the chips are down. We need Havertz to actually deliver, considering at the time he was our highest earner, playing up front, by the way, for Arsenal Football Club. And this is the guy that's supposed to be, you know, the missing piece, the saviour. So I'm expecting him to finish chances like, Bournemouth 2 yards out, Man
Yeah.
City, you
That
know,
header was terrible.
yeah, exactly. And then, the chance we created against Man City, it's
You
not
know,
all on him, by the
yeah,
way.
and even in the Carabao Cup, he had the first chance
Exactly.
actually to make it 1-0.
Same chance on his favoured left foot as well. You've got to be burying them. That's the difference between us and Man City. One has Haaland and the other has Havertz up front. So I don't know why he keeps having this persistence with players such as Kai Havertz, Odegaard, Zubimendi, etc. They can afford to have stinkers, but the likes of Martinelli, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Eze as well,
Yeah, so
they
clearly he
get
has the big
dropped.
rights.
They get dropped. So I'm just like, well, why do you not treat every single player in this squad the same way?
Yeah, he has
If
his
it's
big
going to
rights.
tell us
That's
that
for
this
sure.
guy has not got favourites, I don't know like any proof that I've got to give, because honestly, I've seen it for the last 6 years that this guy throughout the years, I mean, within his first season at Arsenal, he had this persistence with Bellerin when he continuously was doing these bloody long throw-ins. I wish he couldn't even take a throw,
Yeah,
and he continued playing him. You've got playing Havertz in the midfield, Zinchenko playing left back when he didn't need to play him there, trying to play Kieran Tierney as the inverted left back, playing that
yeah,
Zinchenko role. You've got trying to mold Nketiah into what Jesus was at the start of
Yeah,
the season. He does it countless times and he's not learning.
true,
So
true.
I don't know what to say. Like, for me, in that 22-23 season, you look at it and go, right, he started Jesus, rushed him back when he could have just rested Jesus for a lot of the games due to the fact it was working with the formula of Martinelli, Trossard, Saka. You go to the following season, played Havertz in midfield, Zinchenko left back, that cost us. Last season, we didn't invest in the summer. We finished
Hmm.
2 points behind Man City and responded with a transfer window of Marino, Calafiori, Neto, and Sterling. Finished second, how many points behind Liverpool, didn't win anything. Then you look at this season, and it's due to, for me, a lack of rotation and investing in his bloody favourites again. And that's it, really.
Yeah,
I know
I
I may have
agree.
gone off topic towards the end there, but
Yeah, I agree. So now let's look at key tactical battles. Do you think Newcastle's fast wingers have a chance against the likes of Nkapia and Mosquera, or do you think our defense should do well enough to quell the threat that they can put up from an offensive standpoint?
I think if we play Mosquera at right back, I think he can deal with Harvey Barnes, to be honest. I do trust Mosquera defensively more than I do with Ben White, that's for sure. I mean, with Alanga, I think in Capier, as I said, Alanga is crap anyways, and he's been fairly underwhelming at Newcastle. So I think we can definitely. It's not necessarily like the threat that up front for Newcastle, if you can call it threat. That's not what's necessarily the thing we should be worried about. It's obviously like how we deal with them, 50-50s, etc., second
The
balls.
transitions, yeah.
Um, because Newcastle are a physical team. Let's have it right. Um, and as I said, that midfield battle is going to be key. And
Mhm.
Declan Rice and Zubimendi for real have to come out and actually gain a little bit of control in this game because these big games are just simply haven't, and it feels like Declan Rice is covering two fucking positions every time. I think Newcastle definitely sit back and play for a point like they have done every time they do come to the Emirates. It feels like.
Yeah,
Um,
but do you think Gyökeres can really entangle well with Botman and Theo?
I mean, probably not, but at the same time, we are in a situation where a we need that one chance that falls to our striker to put us 1-0 up, so that could open up the game, right? I don't
Yeah,
trust that Havertz is that sort of guy,
true.
right? Havertz is always an impact off the bench, so you can say, well, Gyökeres is better off the bench as opposed to when he starts games, but Havertz is literally the same thing.
Yeah,
So I'm just like, well, what difference does it make if Havertz is starting? Oh, well, we can hold up the ball. As I said earlier, right? You actually got to watch your line. You got to watch your line. You have to stay on side in order for that to work. So, like, this is what I'm saying. I think we need goals. We need goals for the last 5 games of the season, and I think the best solution is to start your most clinical striker, your most clinical attacker, in fact, who doesn't actually shit the bed in front of goal. So that's probably
yeah,
the best solution. He may not hold up the ball, he may not let it stick, but if Arteta actually leaves the ham, if he actually, releases the handbrake, is what I'm trying to say, then I think you can get more out of Gyökeres because he's basically coming short into midfield every single time. Why is
yeah,
he playing with his back to goal, which has never been his game at all?
yeah.
Yeah, there's times where he has been. I'm not saying he's not been released down the channels and he's done miraculous things. And I'm not saying it's works every single time where we've released him and down the channels, and it's worked out. I'm not saying that, but at the same time, you keep giving him the ball like Sweden do, for instance, like Sporting did.
Yeah, passing into space.
Yeah, all it takes is just one chance, and that's why you start your best striker for me, especially the one that you paid £65 million for. I'm not talking about Kai Havertz because he's not a striker. So I think for me, the midfield battle is key, and we just got to get that first goal, or else it's long. Trust me.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go to match predictions. What's the prediction for the game?
Oh God, 1-0 Arsenal. I'm going to try my best to be optimistic, but I think this has got a 0-0 draw written all over it. That's what my head's saying.
Oh, wow. Yeah, hopefully we'll get the goal that we need to get this game. Okay, so Rory, so that's pretty much it. What's the plan for Red RD in the course of the week?
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a match reaction tomorrow. There might be though on Sunday, and then obviously Monday we've got the Arsenal All Out show, and then we play on Tuesday, or is it Wednesday? In fact, against Atletico Madrid. So that's going to be a huge game. We'll be covering that, of course. And then we go again against, I think it's Fulham we play in the Premier League. So
Yeah, Fulham.
that's about it, bro.
Awesome. So guys, don't forget to follow Red RD. Putting his channel on the description. Has an awesome channel where he and a couple of other goons spend some time talking about our lovely club. You guys need to tune to Red RD on Monday nights, man. That's where it all happens.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. Thanks for being around for today's match preview. Yes, Sule says it's going to be a 3-1 win. I won't mind that. All I just need is my 3 points.
Yeah, that'll be all right. But I don't see us scoring 3 goals. I don't know the last time we scored 3 goals, in all fairness.
Last time we scored 3 goals. Let me check that real quick. Nottingham Forest smashed Sunderland 5-0. Wow, that was gangster.
Yeah.
So the last time we scored 3 goals.
It wasn't Sunderland, surely.
Okay, yeah, it was Tottenham when we scored 4.
Oh, yeah, Tottenham.
All right, guys, this has been awesome as always. Thanks for being part of today's match preview. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Till then, come on, you guys.